Melissa. Welcome. Come on in. Come in.
My name is Melissa. I'm 30 years old. I work at an advertising agency. Today, I'm visiting my husband Alex's parents' house to celebrate our third wedding anniversary. Upon arrival, my mother-in-law greeted me warmly.
Melissa, you look beautiful as always. I envy you.
She's always been kind to me since we got married, and we've built a great relationship. By the way, my mother-in-law lives alone now. Alex's father passed away before we got married, so she lived alone for a while. When we discussed Alex and his mother before marriage, I suggested, why not build a house nearby so we can be there quickly if needed? Although he wanted us to live together, I couldn't accept that, so we settled into the current arrangement. Because of this, we often visit my mother-in-law's house to check on her and have meals together. Whenever we visit, she warmly welcomes us and showers me with affectionate words. We lead a reasonably happy married life like this, but there's one thing that bothers me. That's Alex's salary, which is significantly less than mine. I don't mean to sound rude, but compared to others our age, I earn more. I probably earn more than many men in similar positions, but still, his salary is about half of mine. However, Alex isn't wasteful or a big spender. He dresses modestly and lives frugally. He works diligently and comes home on time. He doesn't spend his time out and about. His company is quite small, and its performance isn't great, so I understand, but he seems apologetic about his low salary.
I'm sorry. I'll start a side job soon.
I don't blame him at all, and I hope one day he can change jobs and earn more. Still, I can't shake this uneasy feeling. One day, I finished work unusually early and decided to drop by my mother-in-law's house. Normally, I'd call before going, but this day, I forgot and only realized after arriving at her house. Oh well, I thought, I'm already here, so it's too late to call now anyway. I opened the door to my mother-in-law's house. I heard voices coming from the living room. Ah, I see. So we're getting close to the target amount. That's good. You've worked hard. It seemed she was talking on the phone with someone. Although I felt guilty eavesdropping, I listened for a while, and then suddenly, I heard a shocking statement.
But Alex, you endured for 2 years. It must have been tough being under that woman's thumb.
Alex. That woman. Wait, could she be talking about me? I was shocked and listened even more intently.
But a little more patience. As long as you save up money, there's no need. By the way, how's it going with Nicole, whom I introduced you to the other day? I see. I see. Well then, if that's the case, she'll be the next wife for you. It's time to start preparing for the divorce.
Unaware that I was listening, my mother-in-law was saying unbelievable things. It was clear from the conversation that Alex was on the phone. I panicked and quietly closed the door, then hurriedly went back home. After that, my mind was in complete chaos. I didn't want to believe that they were plotting against me and deceiving me. But if that were the case, what was that phone call? I didn't want to suspect my mother-in-law, but her overly friendly attitude towards me now seemed suspicious. After much thought, I decided to hire a private investigator to look into Alex's actions. Maybe they were talking about someone completely unrelated, or perhaps it was all a poorly thought-out prank by the two. I didn't want to do this, and if it was a misunderstanding, that would be best. However, a month later, the investigation results shattered my faint hopes. The investigator revealed that Alex was having an intimate relationship with a woman I didn't know. They often visited her house, and there were plenty of photos as evidence. The woman's name is Nicole. It was the same name my mother-in-law mentioned. With such conclusive evidence, I couldn't just let it go. If it was merely infidelity, that would be one thing, but based on my mother-in-law's phone conversation, it seemed they were saving money together. Despite Alex always saying he couldn't save much due to his low salary, I was contributing significantly more to our expenses. If they were setting savings goals and saving money together, it meant I had been deceived in more ways than one. That day, I was fully prepared for battle and waited for Alex to return from work. Then, at 6 p.m., Alex, oblivious, came home. "I'm going to my mom's," I said, grabbing him by the collar and leading him to the car. Confused, Alex stammered, "Hey, what's going on?" "Wait a minute." But faced with my fierce demeanor, he seemed unable to resist. Immediately, I demanded, "Give me your phone." And Alex naturally refused. Of course, he would. Presumably, there was plenty of evidence of his affair on his phone. However, that evidence was already in my hands. I confronted him with the infidelity photos obtained from the private investigator and threatened, "You know what I'm talking about," until he reluctantly handed over his phone. Now Alex couldn't contact his mother. I planned to interrogate him thoroughly, including about the money. When we arrived at my mother-in-law's house, I didn't bother with the intercom and boldly walked in. She was taken aback but seemed to grasp the situation. I decided not to expose everything immediately but to lead the conversation to get Alex to confess on his own. First, I showed him the incriminating photos and shouted, "Alex was cheating on me." My mother-in-law, in a shameless display, exclaimed,
"Oh my! How could you? You have such a wonderful wife, and yet you cheat with another woman."
She seemed to think I didn't know about the woman I'd introduced. I quickly asked, "Don't you recognize this woman?" She replied,
"No, I don't know her."
"I know everything. You'll regret keeping secrets," I threatened. Flustered, my mother-in-law eventually said,
Oh, come to think of it, I did introduce them before. But Alex thought they shared common interests, and it was just a little indiscretion. I'm truly sorry."
Her half-hearted excuses weren't going to cut it. I was hoping for a sincere confession from her, as that might offer some leniency. I went into full combat mode and confronted my mother-in-law. Is that so? So, you didn't know about the relationship between Alex and this woman. I'll warn you now, lying here won't end well." However, she stubbornly insisted that she only introduced them and was unaware of any romantic involvement. So, I turned to Alex and bluntly asked, "By the way, how much money do you have saved?" Their faces turned pale in unison. Let's see how they respond. Alex, sweating profusely, managed to say,
"I don't have any savings. You know my salary is low."
That excuse wasn't going to cut it. "Oh, really? Then show me your payslip," I demanded. I distinctly heard Alex gulp nervously in response. At that moment, I was certain. If Alex had been falsifying the amounts on his payslips each month, then those documents must be forgeries. He wasn't skilled at such detailed work. The forgeries must have been done by my mother-in-law. As expected, my mother-in-law interjected, saying,
You give your pay slips to Melissa every month, right?
Quickly, I responded, Have you ever seen those pay slips? She feigned ignorance, saying,
Oh, no, I've never seen them.
At that moment, I mentally cheered. I see. Understood. Well, if I find your fingerprints on those pay slips I've stored, you know what that means, right? This statement was the final blow. Both of them trembled uncontrollably and couldn't even speak. Then, I delivered the finishing blow. Just to clarify, this isn't about infidelity, it's about fraud. You both should realize the gravity of your situation. While a mere affair might be resolved within the family, marriage fraud was a different story. It could lead to police interrogation, and the consequences would be far more severe than mere infidelity. At that point, they seemed to begin grasping the seriousness of the situation. I exclaimed loudly, You two are fraudsters. I'll report you to the police, and of course, you'll pay substantial damages. Alex, tearfully, pleaded,
No, I'm not a fraudster. Please believe me.
Upon listening to their story, it seemed they hadn't entered the marriage with deception in mind. However, after some time, he began feeling inferior due to our income disparity and confided in his mother. My mother-in-law, already harboring negative feelings towards me for earning more than Alex, had accumulated resentment, especially since I had refused to live together. So, Alex and his mother discussed divorce. However, here's where their malicious scheme came into play. If Alex initiated the divorce, he might have to pay damages. Naturally, that was unacceptable to them. Fortunately, since I earned enough to cover living expenses, Alex secretly planned to increase his savings. In reality, Alex was earning more than he had reported to me, and he was covertly saving the difference. Alex worked for a small, old-fashioned company where salaries were handed out in cash, so I had no reason to suspect anything. Additionally, every month my mother-in-law had been forging payslips, and I had been completely deceived. Naturally, I was furious. I immediately summoned Nicole and interrogated her thoroughly. Nicole confessed that she knew about Alex and his mother's plan. Alex had been using me to accumulate savings for them to live comfortably. However, since Alex and I were still not divorced, I demanded substantial damages from Nicole. I confronted Alex and his mother, asking if they preferred to face prosecution for fraud or settle with damages. They begged to avoid involving the police, so I extracted a hefty compensation from them before proceeding with the divorce. I never imagined I'd experience something like this, but I'm relieved I realized before falling into Alex and his mother's trap. He had accumulated a surprising amount of money unexpectedly, which I gladly took, and I'm currently planning to transfer the house into my name. Then I promptly kicked them out. Now, I have no idea where they've disappeared to. After that incident, they seem to have lived together at their parents' house for a while, but with my house nearby, they couldn't bear being held at a disadvantage. One day, I realized their presence had completely vanished from my house. How did you find this story? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.